Well, we are now in the midst of the incredible holiday, celebrating and remembering Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection from the grave. I wanted to share a few things that I saw in the scriptures. We all know the story of Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection, which is absolutely the testimony of God. And I wanted to talk about in John 12. It was talking about, then Jesus 6 days before the Passover came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead. And it's telling us in verse 9 that much people of the Jews knew that Lazarus was there, and they came not for Jesus' sake only, but that they might see Lazarus also, whom he had raised from the dead. And then it says, but the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death. Reason of him, many of the Jews went away and believed on Jesus, Yeshua. And then they took branches the next day of the palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, and they said, Hosanna Rabbah, which blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, or blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. And he rode into the temple on a donkey. And when this happened, the people therefore that were with him, when he called Lazarus out of his grave and raised him from the dead, bear record. So they were witnesses to the resurrection of Lazarus, and these were Jews that were believing that Jesus, Yeshua, was the King of Israel and that he was the Messiah that was to come. Now when the Greeks came to worship at the feast, Jesus made the comment that the hour had come, the Son of Man should be glorified. And unless this corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. And, you know, he's basically saying there that he's going to graft in Gentiles into being given salvation, which is the name Yeshua. And he said, and I, if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all men unto me. And thus, when he said this, signifying what death he should die. But though he had done so many miracles before them, yet they believed not on him. So we see there that there were a lot of Jews who were following him as the Messiah, and that they were there comforting Mary and Martha when Lazarus died. And they went to the grave, and they were eyewitnesses of his resurrection from death to life. And so it says that this happened, that the saying of Isaiah the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spoke. Lord, who hath believed our report, and to whom hath the arm of the Lord been revealed? Therefore they could not believe, because that Isaiah said again, he hath blinded their eyes and hardened their heart, that they should not see with their eyes, nor understand with their heart, and be converted, and I should heal them. These things said Isaiah when he saw his glory and spake of him. So if Isaiah saw him and spoke of his glory, then this has to be the God of Israel that has come as the Messiah to redeem the world, as the second perfect Adam, as the perfect Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. And it says in verse 42, nevertheless among the chief rulers also many believed on him. So these were chief rulers of Israel, and many believed on him. But because of what the Pharisees were saying, they did not confess him, lest they should be put out of the synagogue. So it's kind of like Joseph of Arimathea, who was a member of the Sanhedrin court, and he was believing that Jesus was the Messiah in secret and followed him. After that, we have now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. And then after they partook of the Passover Seder is when Judas betrayed him. And then Jesus got up and washed the disciples' hands and feet. And then it was revealed that Judas was the betrayer of Jesus, the Messiah. And after this it says, therefore, when he was gone out, Jesus said, now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God be glorified in him, God shall also glorify him in himself, and shall straightway glorify him. Little children, yet a little while I am with you. Ye shall seek me, and as I said unto the Jews, whither I go ye cannot come. So now I say to you, a new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another as I have loved you, that ye also may love one another. By this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. Now, this is very interesting because this is going to be talking about that Simon Peter would be dead, but he would follow the Messiah afterwards, like after the whole fulfillment of the death, burial, and resurrection of himself out of the grave. Then later on, of course, Simon Peter, the disciple, would die, and at some point the Lord said he was going to descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel and the trumpet call of God. And the dead in Messiah shall rise first, and then we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them to meet the Lord in the air. And therefore we shall always be with the Lord and comfort one another with these words. Now, I'm just paraphrasing there. But listen to this. It says in verse 36, this is the part I wanted to get to. Verse 36, Simon Peter said unto him, Lord, whither goest thou? Jesus answered him, Whither I go, thou cannot follow me now, but thou shalt follow me afterwards. So that's an important thing to keep in mind when we get to what happens in John 14. Simon Peter said unto him, Lord, why cannot I follow thee now? I will lay down my life for thy sake. And Jesus answered him, Wilt thou lay down thy life for my sake? Verily, verily, I say unto thee, the cock shall not crow till thou hast denied me thrice. And of course that happened soon after. But connect that, what he's telling him. He's asking, Simon Peter is asking the Messiah, where is it that you're going? And he said where he's going, he cannot follow him now, but he will later. And we know that Simon Peter died because, you know, they found his ossuary near where Mary and Martha and Lazarus were buried. And there was not very much published about that these ossuaries had been found of Simon Peter, Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, and on the Mount of Olives, burial ground place that they found. So you'll hear all these things about the Catholic Church claiming that Peter is like, you know, the first pope and all that, and then he was buried in Rome. That's absolutely false. He's buried on the Mount of Olives, and his ossuary has been recovered and excavated. So after Jesus says, "Thou cannot follow me now, but thou shalt follow me afterwards," then Jesus says, "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you." So where is the Father's house? It's up in heaven. And he's telling Simon Peter that he's going to be following him where he's going. So that's up in heaven. So how's Simon Peter going to get there unless he's resurrected from death to life? "If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go ye know, and the way ye know." So, he's talking about that we are to follow after him as believers, and that he's going to take us across the Jordan River into the Promised Land. That's what he's telling him. Now, we already know John 14 as a resurrection rapture passage, but consider that he was talking to Simon Peter about that he could not follow him then, but he would come back and get him. So, if he's coming back to get him, he didn't mean that he's just coming back like, okay, there's just a second coming and no rapture. Because if he was basically saying he's coming back, he would set his feet down on the earth and that would be it, right? So basically we can see from this that there has to be a rapture, resurrection happening, because Jesus is saying that he's going to come back down and that he's going to take him to the place that he's prepared for him. And that place is not right down here. It's up in heaven where he is right now. So it becomes very clear that the resurrection of Lazarus happened, and then all of these events leading up to the crucifixion, the death, burial, and resurrection of the Messiah, so that he could ascend up to heaven, where he's been for the last 2,000 years, and then going to come back and get the believers and take them to the place he's prepared for them. And this means that they are going to be resurrected out of their graves, probably at the same time that my mother and my grandmother and my step-grandfather and everybody who's passed away, my uncle and, my dad. So all of these people are going to be resurrected, and the Lord is making it very clear that we're to follow after him in the way, and that he is going to descend from heaven with a shout, and he's going to resurrect the dead and take them to the place that he's been preparing for them. If there was just a second coming and that's it and no rapture, then Jesus would not say that he was going to take him to the place he's prepared for him, because that place where he is right now is up in heaven or paradise, wherever we can't see beyond the veil, but we know that he's coming for us and that that time is drawing very near. It could very well happen. It could very well happen when Jesus' resurrection happened, and many of the saints were resurrected out of their graves at the same time, or right around the same time he came out of his grave. So, since Simon Peter had not died yet until after Jesus was dead and resurrected, then we know that he's coming again to take us to the place that he's prepared. Jesus said that he would receive Simon Peter unto himself and take him where he is, to the place he's prepared. This is the Greek word for to receive him, is number 3880, paralambano. And it means I take with me. I take from, receive from, or I take to. So he's going to take all of the dead who are believers and resurrect them out of their graves, and they're going to go up in the glory cloud and meet the Lord in the air, and we're going to meet them if we're still alive and standing on this earth, as we've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, taken out of the hands of the enemy and placed in the hands of God. And Jesus made a covenant with us in his blood and his body to be the perfect lamb sacrifice forever, once and for all, and to redeem the world back to God, back to himself. And when we partake of the Passover Seder that commemorates what he did on the cross and rising from the grave, then in the third cup of redemption, he betrothed himself to us as believers. More definitions of paralabano, which means to receive from, means to take, takes along, taking, took. It means to take with oneself, to join to oneself as an associate or a companion. Also, it means to take with one in order to carry away. Now, I'm reading in Thayer's Greek lexicon here, where it says, I will receive you unto myself. To take with one in order to carry away. Now, how clear can you be as far as that being a rapture? And also it means to take one's betrothed to his home. It means to take one with one into a place, to my companionship where I myself dwell. It also says from para and lambano, to receive near, i.e. associate with oneself in any familiar or intimate act or relation, by analogy to assume an office, figuratively to learn, receive, take unto, or with. And when he said he's preparing a place for him, that he would come again and receive him to that place, this is from Strong's 2090, hitoimazo. It means that he's preparing, providing, and making ready a place to receive us. And when he said those words that he was going to prepare a place, the word topos is number 5117 in NAS Exhaustive Concordance, and it means that the place he's taking us is areas, locality, opportunity, passenger, place, places, reef, regions, and room. The place means apparently a primary word, a spot, general in space, but limited by occupancy, whereas Korah is a large but participle locality, i.e. location, as a position, home, tract, etc. You go to that Greek word, number 5561, that it mentions Korah. It means county, fields, ground, land, region, feminine of a derivative of the base of chasma, through the idea of empty expanse, room, i.e. a space of territory, more or less extensive, often including its inhabitants, coast, county, fields, ground, land, region. And you're supposed to compare it with the word I just read to you, topos. So isn't that interesting that it includes all of those? Coast, county, fields, ground, land, and region. And an empty expanse. Lots of space. So we have something really to look forward to. So we see in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught, But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. And we love him, don't we? And we're just watching and waiting and holding on with all our might and remembering him and his incredible testimony. And I have so much in my book about his testimony that's never been seen before. And I'm not kidding you when I say that. And it's not to boast, it's to bring honor and glory to the one who performed these deeds to save the world. And you can give your heart to him, Jesus Christ, and, you know, become one of those going to heaven. But just listen to how all of that territory is going to be a place where he takes us. You know, a field, a county, a coastline. I mean, it's truly incredible to realize that he's taking us somewhere spectacular that we cannot even envision, and our ears have never heard the divine music that comes from the scales that God created that we cannot hear in our range of acoustics. Our vision will be improved incredibly. See things that are in the color spectrum that we've never seen in our lives. And I mean, why would you not want to be saved? And YESHUA'S name is salvation. And as we know, there's no other name under heaven by which we must be saved but by YESHUA, HaMashiach of Nazareth. Thomas said unto Jesus, Lord, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way? See, they didn't know the way into the promised land any more than Moses and the Israelites knew it. But the way was to follow behind him. YESHUA, Jesus said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If you had known me, you should have known my Father also. And from henceforth you know him and have seen him. This is one person manifesting himself as the Messiah, as the second perfect Adam, to reverse the curse of Adam from the Garden of Eden, to take us back to himself. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very work's sake. Every miracle that he performed proved that he was the creator of the universe and had the power to raise the dead. He caused people who had not seen their whole life, that they were blind from birth, to have eyes to see. There's nobody on earth that can do that. Only the Creator. So now we know the identity of who this is. And our God is mighty to save. And when he was lifted up on that cross, he did it so that all men and women would follow him to go across the river Jordan into the heavenly promised land behind him. And we're following after him. And so I just wanted to point this out, that he clearly gave Simon Peter an indication that he wasn't just coming back to set his feet on the earth, but that he was actually coming to get him, to take him alongside him, to go to a place that he's been preparing for him. And that's what the dead in the Messiah right now are waiting for too, is to be resurrected out of these graves, and death will be conquered. Satan caused all things to have to die, and all of creation is subjected to death because of this sin in the Garden of Eden. So Jesus redeemed us back to go back and to follow him in the pathway that he's leading to go to that place he's preparing. And that is the resurrection rapture that is going to come in the twinkling of an eye. I hope that this gives you a little bit of hope and joy to think about Jesus just coming from death to life, and how extraordinary that really is. And I hope you ponder it and keep it in your heart. I hope as you think about my miracle almond tree that sprouted 3 days and 3 nights after Passover, you'll think about Jesus coming to life 3 days and 3 nights after Passover. And that you'll just remember how extraordinary it was. I have to go now. Please pray, because I'm not feeling very well. But I had to do a video, and I needed to tell you that I've been really busy this week with some things dealing with my mom that needed to be wrapped up. So I just pray God's blessing over you, and that you will just ponder what Jesus did for us, because he's coming to take us very soon. And I hope this gives you some hope regarding this resurrection rapture. And don't give up hope, because he promised this to Simon Peter. So with that, I'll say good night for now.